Fresh reggae and dancehall on GRTS TV. Exclusive segments, interviews, countdown videos.
Hello, good evening. You're watching us from the Gambia Radio and Television Services, and this is Assignment, also coming up in the next 45 minutes. President Adama Barrow reaffirms his government's commitment to overcoming energy challenges and high tax rates to energize businesses in the Gambia. Agriculturists converge for a major horticultural exposition looking to raise productivity and create new market linkages. The head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat in the Gambia reiterates the need for increased religious tolerance and interfaith understanding. Politicians and experts call out the Trump administration for slashing funding of Africa's humanitarian aid. Plus, a picture tells 1,000 words as photographers in Nairobi race to tell Africa's story in a photography exhibition. Well, please, another story is coming ahead in the next 45 minutes. I am Fatijani Mbai, and this is Assignment. Well, thank you for joining us. President Adama Barrow has reaffirmed his government's strong commitment to overcoming the energy challenges and high tax rates to spur greater commercial flourish for businesses in the Gambia. President Barrow was speaking at a dinner hosted by the Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry celebrating their Golden Jubilee. As we hear in this report by Mamadou Jallo, the event also provided a platform for business elites to interact and review the current outlook of the private sector in national development.
The GCCI annual dinner always attracts the country's business elite and government officials, but this year's event got its highest profile guest. It was more of an evening of celebrations of the success of the chamber, which has endured half a century as the umbrella body coordinating and promoting business in the Gambia, but also to take stock of the challenges facing the business community. Mohamed Jagana, the president of the chamber, is optimistic that the business community is resolved to propel the Gambia to the global economic community.
The Gambian business community will work with you to build those roads and bridges that will cross Gambia into the global economy as a champion of a destination for investment.
For a man who has lived through the trials and triumphs of the chamber, past President Alhaji Ali Mboj believes that businesses must adjust in order to remain competitive and profitable.
Fresh challenges face our nation today, especially in the field of information and communication technology. The way we do business has been transformed, and businesses must be assisted to adjust to the new digital economy.
One man who has done just that is Mohamed Jah, Chief Executive Officer of the Q Group, arguably Gambia's most successful businessman. In a long speech, Mr. Jah, who was also the guest speaker, advocated for the promotion and protection of local businesses as a means to enhance economic independence and national development.
In order to have a meaningful transformation of any country's economy, the empowerment and participation of its local business is the fundamental pillar. No country will prosper without a strong private sector. When we talk about local private sector, we are also talking about ownership by Gambians or residents in the Gambia.
The outspoken business entrepreneur was very blunt in his assessment of the business environment and culture in the Gambia, urging Gambians to support local companies and products. He also decried the high cost of energy, which is mostly unreliable, and the high tax rate, which he argued seriously affects businesses, their growth and productivity. The president listened keenly, and when he mounted the podium, reassured the business community of his government's commitment to surmount the challenges confronting the development of a robust private sector.
We inherited a lot of challenges. Key among them is the poor energy sector, but also high tax burden and low investment in the productive sector of the economy. I am pleased to reaffirm my government's strong commitment
to overcome these hurdles to ensure greater positive impact for both the public and private sector and for all stakeholders.
The President challenged them to take leadership in the development process, commending the Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry for being the first institution to defend the verdict of the Gambian people. Mohamed Diallo, GRTS News.
The Minister of Agriculture, Omar Amadou Jallow, recently presided over the opening ceremony of the National Horticultural Show at Abuko. The agricultural exposition brought together horticultural farmers in a major exhibit of their produce. Khadija Jallow tells us more.
The program forms part of efforts aimed at promoting vegetable production in the country.
The purpose of the program is to showcase what our women farmers are doing in the socio-economic development of the country through horticultural crop production.
The director, NEMA Project, Bakari Sanyang, said despite challenges, a lot has been achieved in agricultural productivity.
NEMA's approach is to at least make sure that production from the farm up to the table is of quality. That is why we are working with the Department of Agriculture through its relevant departments to make sure that we achieve what we want to achieve as a nation.
With more than 80% of horticultural farmers being women, officials challenge the youths and men to engage in this method of farming, as authorities plan to introduce modern techniques to improve production.
This very horticultural show always gives our farmers the opportunity to learn from one another, to share the technologies they've employed in generating what we are to see today. It is also for them an opportunity to showcase the horticultural products that are possible to be produced in this country.
The Minister of Agriculture, Omar Amadou Jallow, hailed the women farmers for contributing to food security and socio-economic development of the country.
Most of our farmers are small scale, and the importance of coming together in cooperatives cannot be overemphasized. Therefore, we are doing everything possible in the ministry to revive the agricultural movement. And this time, we are not going to only emphasize this on cooperatives for groundnut buying, but we're going in for livestock, for horticulture, for poultry. Coming through cooperatives, it will promote the activities of that sector.
Poor techniques, inadequate water supply are some of the challenges affecting vegetable gardeners. There are those who have registered successes, including this woman from Fajikunda. She explains how she managed to secure a land and build a house from the proceeds of her horticultural production. The National Horticultural Show attracted farmers, food processors, and producers of compost organic fertilizers from all over the country. Khadija Jallow, GRTS News.
The Amir of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat of the Gambia, Shahib Baba Tarawale, has reiterated yet again that religious tolerance and compassion are two very important pillars for the maintenance of peace and harmony in society. The Amir, who was addressing a crowd of the Jamaat at its 41st annual convention, or Jalsa Salana, at Masrul Senior Secondary School on Friday, also condemned religious extremism, especially those associated with Islam. Abdunjai was at the event and he now reports.
The Amir's address was premised on the way forward for the Jamaat, its commitment to society and contribution towards the maintenance of peace and religious tolerance.
We should remember that the most important principle is the fear of Allah and righteousness, which we should always remember in all our activities. We should not undermine and abuse the rights of anyone, but instead we should be tolerant and compassionate.
The convention is being convened at a time when the debate around the Ahmadiyya Jamaat is raging in every corner of Gambian society. Amir Sahib Baba Tarawale did brush aside the significance of that debate by making reference to the Prophet and his companions, whom he said have lived together with people of other faiths in Medina and have protected their rights.
If we want to live in peace and harmony, we need to make sure that we follow this great prophet of Islam as a true and complete model, because in him we find complete perfection.
Also addressing the convention was the Minister of Agriculture, Omar Jallo, who promises government support by creating the environment conducive for the Jamaat's operations.
Please, let you know that you have come to stay just like any other religion in the Gambia, and you will have the protection. And every Gambian, including this government, will make sure that the protection that you need to stay and operate and do what you are doing for the benefit of the Gambian people will continue forever.
Jimmy Clark, the political attaché at the United States Embassy, said his office has followed keenly the many accomplishments of the Jamaat in the Gambia and wishes to acknowledge their importance in national development.
I want to reassure you of the U.S. government and the U.S. Embassy in the Gambia's commitment to continuing to work with the Ahmadiyya Jamaat in its efforts to improve and enhance the socio-economic environment here in the Gambia.
The convention, which is the 44th Jalsa of the Jamaat, drew a cross-section of society at the Masood Senior Secondary School grounds, including former and present government officials, local and traditional leaders. Prominent at the program were the awards of prizes to deserving individuals in various categories. At the end of the opening ceremony, the many prominent figures that graced the occasion left the venue expressing satisfaction with the way the Jamaat conducts itself.
Sitting and hearing the Amir of Ahmadiyya Jamaat, sending the message home on the need for Muslims to live in a peaceful coexistence, to respect the religious freedom of other people, I think really was very important.
The Ahmadiyya is likely misconstrued, am I right if I say that?
Obviously, not likely. I would say what? Zillion times misconstrued.
So what are you doing to change concept?
Nothing. Do what we are doing and do it better.
Abdinjai, GRTS.
Now, a group of young Gambians Saturday launched a youth organization that seeks to develop the career scope of the country's youth through education and entrepreneurship. Assembly of Youth for Development Association, as it is called, intends to promote civic education, networking among young people, and support underprivileged students. Abdullah C. has the rest of that story.
As young people continue to bask in the pride of ushering in the new Gambia, they have been challenged to build the country and actualize the dreams of Gambians. But the prosperity of the country requires a more educated and skilled generation of young Gambians. Assembly for Youth Development Association wants to build on this principle through the provision of educational support to young people, focusing mainly on mathematics, the sciences, and civic education.
We want to look at the educational sector, how we can help some students who are very excellent and some who are dropouts from school, to see how we can support them to go back to school and learn. We also want to help some excellent students who lack the support, but they really necessarily need support. So we really want to venture into that as well.
Accessibility to education only yields dividends when the education is relevant to the country's development priorities. The failure of the previous governments to build an education system conscious of the country's challenges and development agenda means the education system now needs major reforms. Providing accessible and relevant education to the youth, according to Dr. Ismail Sise of the University of the Gambia, is a duty of the government that should be foolproof.
The government has to invest in young people. And how can they invest in young people is to invest in education. Because young people must be prepared for the task of nation building. And how are they prepared is to provide them with the skills and the knowledge needed to take this nation ahead.
As part of the ceremony, Assembly for Youth Development Association also awarded some Gambians for their roles in national development. Honorable Halifa Saleh awarded the most outstanding politician of the year, his second such award in a month, said youth associations help guide government in developing policies, especially those that have a direct bearing on young people.
The purpose of such associations is to participate in expressing what is of concern to the young people, so that the state will be able to take those ideas and transform it into policies, into laws that serves the interests of the young.
The young people behind this association say its agenda and commitment by members make it unique. Whatever the case, more associations will slowly be launched and more pressure will continue to be heaped on the government to do more for young people. Abdullah C, GRTS.
You're reminded that you're watching Assignment with me, Fatu Janimbai. A reminder of our top stories. President Adam Barrow reaffirms his government's commitment to overcoming energy challenges and high tax rates to energize businesses in the Gambia. Agriculturists converge for a major horticultural exposition looking to advance productivity and create new market linkages. The head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat in the Gambia reiterates the need for increased religious tolerance and interfaith understanding. Politicians and experts call out the Trump administration for slashing funding of Africa's humanitarian aid. And a picture tells 1,000 words as photographers in Nairobi race to tell Africa's story in a photography exhibition. Next, we head into the commercial scene. The Commerce Club of the Gambia Senior Secondary School Thursday celebrated its 16th anniversary. The day also witnessed the inauguration of the club's incoming executive. We have details of that in this report. The Club of the Gambia Senior Secondary School was formed to promote commerce as a field of study. That responsibility is now on the shoulders of the newly elected executive members. Jennifer Jame is the head of the club.
To develop the club is not easy, but I know I have many aims and objectives to make the club to develop. Like attending meetings is main problem for the students. So as I'm the president of the club, I will make sure people will attend meetings regularly and pay the contribution money.
The executive also has the responsibility of building partnership with other school clubs as well as promote togetherness among students.
Our invited guests are a resource for today that will help us propel our dreams and ideas immediately after this program, before all of them would have speak.
Joe Bongay, an ex-member of the club, recounted his days as Auditor General of the club and how the club impacted positively on the lives of students.
The club also serves as an advisory role to students and help students to gain employment in both sectors of the economy. The club was working on an initiative to organize students completing the WAS exams to have their own ventures through partnership and creating the environment for sustainability of their own ventures.
The guest speaker for the occasion, Babukar Senghor of the Gambia Radio and Television Services, advised the club to continue to work hard.
You will follow in their footsteps and join a legion of highly educated young men and women, but the requirements are challenging and all too common. Dedication, discipline, and respect are some of the guiding principles that will serve you as you journey to fulfilling your dreams. I hope you are ready for that. And I must admit these are values that are associated with this noble school.
The newly elected executive promised to work with the school authorities to meet the aspiration of the general student body, particularly the commerce students. For GRTS News, I am Fatu Janimbai. Well, over now to Asia, where China's Ministry of Education has disclosed plans to increase its support and collaboration with Africa in the education sector as part of ongoing plans for the upcoming Belt and Road Initiative Forum, which kicks off on Sunday. Our Hibite reports that currently thousands of Africans are training in China and benefiting from Chinese government scholarships.
With over 2,800 higher learning institutions and over 36 million students, China has still been able to open its doors for international students, which comprise thousands of Africans seeking education in the diverse higher education learning institutes of China. The cooperation between China and Africa in terms of education is reported to have seen a considerable degree of progress with the coming up of various cooperation and plans in the context of its bilateral relations strengthening. The number of African students in China, according to the Director General of the Department of International Cooperation and Exchanges, Ministry of Education, China, Shutao has been increasing year after year. With its Belt and Road Education Action Plan, Mr. Su further said, more focus will be given to Africa, especially in the areas of vocational education, and currently about 30,000 Africans are set to benefit from the Chinese government scholarship in diverse fields within the next 3 years. With China's program on African studies growing and the Belt and Road Forum, which is initiated by President Xi Jinping, about to take off on Sunday, more is expected between the China-Africa cooperation in the area of education. Rohi Bitej, reporting for Justice News from Beijing, China.
The communities of Kombo Tauto and Busumbala village in the West Coast region are jointly engaging a practical initiative to rehabilitate its road ahead of this year's rainy season. A constant nightmare for the two communities, hindering access to the main highway. Our Isa Tuketa journeyed to the West Coast region to see the community in bold action.
For far too long, this community in the West Coast settlement has been grappling with the challenge of a poor road network linking the community to the other parts of Kombo South. It gets even worse in the rainy season, when many, particularly women, have to walk for miles to reach the main highway due to the dismal condition of the road, whose problems are further overwhelmed by the unavailability of transport. With the rainy season fast approaching, a new village development committee advancing the community's development is bent on executing measures to assuage what has become a major need for people in this part of the metropolis.
All about development. During the rains, we have a lot of problem about our roads. So we just started this rehabilitating this VDC about 2 months ago. So we felt it otherwise that we need to do the roads. And then when we started, we engaged the two villages that we are in between. That is this one where we are now, Bohol, Busumbala, and then Old Yundum. But the whole initiative is done by us.
It's a move eagerly welcomed by the community of Busumbala, Bohol, and Tauto, as they recount the difficulties they encountered during the rainy season.
I am really happy about the move taken by these people. I can say thank God and these people.
Here the representative of the MP of Busumbala Ward expresses gratitude to the VDC for efforts taken to allay their transportation problems, whilst assuring the cluster of communities involved in the scheme of their continuous support.
This is what the Honorable was advocating for during his campaign in the villages. Like the villages, they need to form a development committee that will be a working group with the OYC executive committee. And we have seen that example from Tauto being the first village of doing such. He will do all his best with his team to support such groups.
For most of them, the road is not the only need faced by the community. Accessibility to water is another confront which the community has been lamenting for over 30 years. That acute problem could soon be history as the VDC embarks on a practical scheme. Community improvement initiatives are significant foundations to national development. In Kombo, Busumbala, and Tauto, VDCs understand this as they move to relieve pressing concerns affecting their communities. For GRTS News, this is Isa Tuketa.
Now, elsewhere in the Carnifing municipality, young people have held a constituency stakeholder dialogue to address challenges hampering youth development. The focus of that forum was irregular migration, post-election violence, reconciliation, and drug and alcohol abuse. Well, our reporter Antajag was at the dialogue, and this is his report.
The focus here is to engage youths to understand the dangers of illegal substances and their effects on human health, with the Gambia registering a significant percentage of young people embarking on the journey to Europe through the risky Sahara Desert. Participants challenge their fellow youths to make best use of the available opportunities in the country.
I can assure you that the voice of the youth now is going to be heard loud and clear. I say it simply because I'm not just a member of National Assembly, but I am a youth for that matter. So if my voice is heard, I mean your voice is heard. If my voice is not heard, I mean your voice is not heard. And I will not sit at that house just for the sake of sitting there without fighting for you people. Never.
According to the organizers, young people constitute 60% of the Gambian population. though the need to promote their development.
Interestingly, statistics will show you that we are among the countries that has the highest number of unaccompanied minors going through the back way, 28%. Only Egypt is higher than the Gambia. We are second to Egypt. Egypt is around 50%, we are around 28%.
The public relations officer of the Drug Law Enforcement Agency urged young people to concentrate on meaningful engagements in order to reduce the high influx of Gambians migrating illegally to Europe.
The issues of migration we're talking about, because we know that there's a lot of psychological pressures associated to it. And as such, it pushes many youths to turn to drugs in order for it to serve as a coping mechanism. Two, not only on the aspect of them coping with it, but even with the traveling aspect. There are many people who have been arrested, whom I have dialogue with. They will tell you that, okay, I only wanted to do a single trip so that I can generate some fund and embark on this.
The main motive behind the event is that in order to encourage youth not to become victims of today's focus.
This forum is hoping to help young people overcome their challenges and continue to contribute effectively to national development. I am Ansu Jack, reporting for GRTS News.
And now to the question, which genre is leading in the battle of music? And who is the Gambia's face of beauty? Let's find out from the entertainment desk when we return after this break.